You've probably heard someone accused of crying crocodile tears, right? It's a phrase we all just kind of know. But the real story behind it is this wild ride through ancient myths, some seriously surprising biology, and a medical condition that sounds like it was made up for a movie. So let's dive in. I mean, the idea of a reptile weeping is so powerful, it ended up in Shakespeare. He uses it right here in Othello to talk about a deep, fake sadness. But where on earth did a guy like Shakespeare even get an idea like that? Well, to get to the truth, we've got to go way back and unpack the myth itself. It's this ancient story that's been capturing our imagination for almost 2,000 years, mixing this fear of a predator with, well, with this weird sense of pity. Today, we all know what it means. It's about faking sadness. Calling someone out for crying crocodile tears is basically the ultimate accusation of being insincere. But that definition we use so easily, it's really just the final chapter of a very long and very strange story. So the legend itself is ancient. It starts all the way back in the 1st century with a Roman writer, Pliny the Elder, who wrote about crocodiles literally mourning the prey they were eating. Fast forward to the 14th century, and that story becomes a massive hit all over Europe, thanks to this really popular travel book. And then, of course, Shakespeare gets his hands on it and basically locks it into the English language forever. Okay, so that's the myth, the legend. But what about the reality? Let's switch gears from literature to biology and ask a really straightforward question. I mean, really, do these huge, terrifying predators actually shed tears while they're having a meal? It sounds kind of ridiculous, right? Like a tall tale made up just to teach us a lesson about being deceitful. Well, believe it or not, the answer is yes, they absolutely do. But, and this is a huge but, it has nothing to do with feeling sad or guilty or any emotion at all. The real reason is just mechanics. So here's the deal. Crocodile tears are all about function. They keep the eyes lubricated and clean, which is super important for an animal that lives both in and out of water. But the coolest part is this physiological reflex. All that intense hissing and the sheer force of chomping down on prey, it puts so much pressure on their sinuses that it literally squeezes their tear glands and forces tears out. It's not emotion, it's just plumbing. But wait, the story doesn't end there. Because when scientists decided to take an even closer look at these tears, what they found was completely unexpected. The science, it turns out, is maybe even weirder than the myth. There was this fascinating study in 2020 that analyzed the actual chemical makeup of tears from different animals, including canins, who are, super close cousins to crocodiles. And this is where it gets really cool. So while a caiman's tears have a lot of protein, just like ours, look at the other stuff. They're way higher in sodium, chloride, and urea. It's this totally unique chemical cocktail, perfectly designed to protect their eyes in their specific environment. And here's where it gets kind of beautiful. When you let a tear evaporate, the salts and proteins that get left behind form these incredible, intricate crystal patterns. It's a thing called tear ferning. You can think of it like a unique snowflake, but made out of a tear. Its shape is determined by exactly what's inside it. And the differences are just stunning. Human tear crystals, they tend to be delicate, branching out like a tiny fern, but the caiman tear crystals, whoa, they are way thicker, chunkier, more spaced out, a direct visual fingerprint of their unique chemistry. So we've gone from a human phrase to reptile biology, and now the story is about to come full circle in the most mind-blowing way possible. What if I told you that humans can literally cry crocodile tears? Yeah, it's a real thing. There is a rare medical condition, officially known as Bogorod syndrome. But guess what everyone calls it? Crocodile tears syndrome. And it's a disorder where people involuntarily cry, often just from one eye, while they're eating. Now, this has nothing to do with emotions. It's all neurological. The syndrome happens when the facial nerve gets damaged, maybe from something like Bell's palsy. And then its attempt to heal and regrow goes a little haywire. Okay, think of your facial nerve as a bundle of wires. After an injury, your body tries to repair those wires, but sometimes the wires get crossed. Nerve fibers that were supposed to go to your salivary glands, to make you drool when you eat, they mistakenly regrow and plug into the tear gland instead. So what happens? Your brain sends the signal to make saliva, but because of that crossed wire, it triggers tears instead. Wild, right? So let's just pause for a second and look at the absolutely incredible path we just followed. This is such a perfect example of how a simple, everyday phrase can hide these incredible layers of science and history. Restarted with an ancient myth about fake sadness. That led us to the real biological reason that reptiles have tears, and that, in a crazy twist, revealed a rare neurological condition in humans where eating literally causes crying. The metaphor actually became a medical diagnosis. And that just leaves you with one last thing to think about. A story about deceptive weeping monsters is pretty memorable, for sure. But is it any more incredible than the reality of microscopic tear crystals and cross-neurological wires that can make a person weep without any sadness at all? I'll let you decide.